their speech, musicals are my drugs.
I was going to do that. Okay, go ahead. So, how's everyone's day going?
Is that enough?
I think this is okay.
Well, let's go a little higher.
Something, a sentence you never want to hear anyone say.
How's it going? Yes, never mind.
Okay. So.
That was funny.
Today is finally the day we answer the age-old question, why do I like musicals? It's no secret that I like musicals. I mean, I practically bring it up into every conversation. And what can I say? When it comes to talking about musicals, I'm just non-stop. But believe it or not, there was a time when I didn't like musicals. But before I can talk about why I like them, I have to start at the very beginning, which is how I found out that there was such a thing as musicals. So, let's begin. 2 years ago when this addiction started. It was around December or November, and I was struggling with my identity. Because for most of grade 6, I had been living in my sister's shadow, trying to deal with the legacy that she had left behind and determined to make my own. I also had a tiny crush on a girl that had thrown me off my rhythm because I wasn't sure if these feelings were normal. And that made me feel isolated. So, I did the thing that makes me feel good. I FaceTimed my best friend. And one night when I was FaceTiming her, she sent me a link to this song and said, dude, you gotta listen to this. And I did. And soon enough, I listened to it again and again, and then I was printing off lyrics to it and memorizing it. The song was called Alexander Hamilton, and I'm pretty sure you can guess where it's from. I listened to the Hamilton album thousands of times until I had it memorized like the back of my hand. And that's what got me through the year. And slowly, I didn't feel so alone anymore. But grade 7 came around quicker than normal, and I was determined to make this a year to remember. To make sure that I left with a bang! I wanted this to finally be the year where I could just have school be the only complicated thing in my life. But I guess we don't always get what we want. I was experiencing a new crush, different than before. This time, it wasn't some girl that I barely knew or saw. It was my best friend. For privacy purposes, I'll call her Eve. Eve had been a close friend of mine since 3rd grade, and she was so nice. I had just gotten her number, and we started texting a lot more than we usually do. Sometimes in person, we started talking a lot more than we usually do. Sometimes in person, but mostly over text. And I became more and more obsessed with her. And all the feelings I had before, guilt, isolation, loneliness, came rushing back. I turned back to musicals because I thought that they had the answers I needed, but sadly none, not even Darwin Hanson, could answer any of my questions. Finally, I found out what I was. At the time, I was bisexual, meaning that I liked 2 genders. I was scared to tell people who I was because in every movie and book, when a character comes out as anything, something bad always happens and people treat them differently. And I didn't want to be treated differently because I was still me, wasn't I? But luckily, when I told Eve, she was fine with it. She She treated me a little different, but not that much. Everything was fine.
Deep breath, love. Deep breath.
March break came and went, and I'd come out to pretty much everyone's by. And everyone was supportive of me. Some of my friends and classmates came out too, and I didn't feel that alone anymore. But as all good things do, this happy feeling came to an end as you found out that I liked her. She not only stopped talking to me, but she cut me out of her life in total. I guess I was stupid to think that she'd actually like me back. I quickly spiraled into sadness and more feelings of loneliness. And this is not me being traumatic, because this is exactly what I was afraid of. I never actually thought that anyone would leave me, but maybe all Eliza Schuyler's need to lose their Alexander Hamiltons at some point. After listening to Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Her Story from Hamilton for the 1000th time, I decided that I didn't want to end up like a nobody who no one knew anything about, who was only there to serve a purpose to the main character's stories. I wanted to be actually known for something. I want people to know who I was when they said my name. So, I got off my butt and started building a legacy. And that was a good distraction for the next couple of months. Then, I came faced with a choice. Elfie or Chad. It wasn't that big of a choice, but all of my friends who I'd known for my entire year here at Roberts Creek were going to Elfie. And it took me a good couple of weeks and months, but I decided that if my best friend and I can stay as close as we were in kindergarten, and she lives in Vancouver, then my friends and I were able to stay as close with only about 2 kilometers between us. I mean 20. But they found a way to abandon me even quicker than Eve did. And so, summer began, high school came. This time, no friends were backing me up. But luckily, I was able to make a new group of friends very quickly. Since I'm gay, obsessed with theater, and love books. And that attracts quite a variety of friends. I joined 3 new clubs and dedicated my life to them. Musical theater being one of them, obviously. The first day I stepped into musical theater, I immediately started to bond with people. We sang through some of the songs from Newsies, and all of my pain from the past years seemed to fade away. I went to my first SAGA meeting, Sexuality and Gender Acceptance. And we went around the room discussing pronouns. I, of course, said she, her at the time, because I didn't know what my pronouns were. But something felt off about it. After weeks of researching and testing out pronouns, I got a pretty clear idea of what I identified as. Currently, Personally, I identify as something called demigirl, and I use they them pronouns. Demigirl essentially means that the person is not quite female, but then again not quite non-binary. And I use they them pronouns. Sometimes I say I'm non-binary, especially for people who don't understand, but I figured I should get used to explaining my label to people. Anyway, musicals have helped me through so much. They're a form of therapy for me. And yes, I'm obsessed with them. But is it a problem? Probably. But is it a bad thing? Not as bad as cannibalism. So, I've been talking for quite a long time. And even I'm getting annoyed at myself. So I'm gonna pass you back to our lovely MC, Riley.